Greetings. My name is Peter Warnicki. I am the Director of Community Standards here at Bridgewater State. Welcome to orientation. Wanted to spend a few minutes with you today talking about community standards. Community standards is effectively the Office of Student Conduct here at Bridgewater State. And if you have gone to college yourself in recent years, you may have seen an Office of Judicial Affairs or an Office of Student Conduct. Well, we have rebranded ourselves in recent years to be the Office of Community Standards, which is more in line with mission and expectations of Bridgewater State University. As we think about Bridgewater State, certainly every institution in the country has different expectations and values, and Bridgewater State is one of those institutions that has expectations for students in terms of outcomes. Specifically, the mission talks about effective communication, critical thinking, and of building a culture of personal and professional ethics. As we think about community standards, the student code helps align with those expectations quite well. So you may be wondering what it is we actually do. Well, effectively, we advise students of their rights and responsibilities as it relates to the student code. Part of that is the prohibited behavior that's outlined in the student code, that which students can and should not be doing. In addition to that, however, there are rights that go along with being a member of this community, and we advise students of their rights as it relates to our processes and procedures. We also investigate and adjudicate alleged violations of the Student Code of Conduct as they are referred to us from multiple offices. That includes both on-campus and off-campus behavior. We also connect, more importantly, as it relates to learning outcomes, we connect students to resources through tailor-made referrals following each of our interactions. Now, you may be wondering what it is that our process looks like. In terms of our process, when an incident occurs, information is recorded in the form of an incident report by campus police, residential life staff member, or other staff member. And when that information is sent to us, we send information to the student to invite them to come and talk with us about it. When that happens, we don't send, like other colleges, we don't send information to the student alleging specific violations of the code. Instead, what we do is we invite them to come and talk with us about it. So when an incident happens, for example, what we will do is say that they've been named in a report and we'd like to discuss it with them. And there are effectively 4 different outcomes that can happen when a referral happens. The first, and in rare circumstances, when we have an issue with a student that's relatively minor in nature, think of a noise complaint in the residence hall or other similar complaint, we'll send a letter to the student saying that we have identified that the behavior has happened and we don't expect it to continue in the future. A formal warning may occur by letter. Again, a very small percentage of our cases will occur that way. Similarly, we have educational conferences where it's important to have FaceTime with the student instead of just sending them the letter. We'll sit and we'll talk with the student about the issue that has been presented to us and work to talk about resetting expectations for future behavior. Administrative conferences are effectively one-on-one meetings with the student to determine if a violation of the student code has occurred, or if there's a finding of responsibility, that the student works with the hearing officer to determine what the proper outcome in terms of sanctions should be to, again, help the student take corrective action for the future. A fractionary percentage of our cases are also referred to investigations. These are normally referred for instances that might lead to a potential separation from housing, suspension, or expulsion from school. Again, very rare that that would potentially happen here, but in those cases it is more involved in terms of outcomes, in terms of collecting witness statements and evidence. This is an interesting time in the lives of college students. It certainly is a lot to digest as they work to become the person that they will fully become in life. As they transition to college life, they're exposed to people that they have not met before in their lives, people from all walks and traditions in life, different cultures, different educational backgrounds, different experiences. And it's a wonderful learning, living laboratory for students to identify what values it is they've learned from all of you as family members, and then testing those values in an environment in college before moving forward with a greater understanding of who they will be later in life. So as it is coming into their own, there are some decisions that students frequently will be faced with, and that can provide some challenges that we help understand and teach and grow. Decision making at this age in the college years can sometimes be an issue. The first 6 weeks of college can sometimes be a challenge for students to navigate as it relates to decisions involving alcohol and other drugs. We know through research that the first 6 weeks produce positive outcomes and indicators showing that students don't typically use drugs or alcohol, but sometime in that first 6 weeks of college, things change. We find that parental involvement and ongoing communication from family members to students can help students navigate those challenges. We encourage you to reach out to your students to talk about issues that they might potentially be facing, or learning about, or experiencing, or observing. We find that alcohol in particular, there's a 6-week college effect where 25% of college students entering college don't drink at all. And yet, with that first 6 weeks, the expectation is that everyone in college drinks, and that simply isn't true. So through pro-social interventions and educational efforts, we reach out to students to let them know that no, actually quite a few students don't drink at all, and those that do so very infrequently. Marijuana is an issue that has been creeping up here in Massachusetts as an issue on college campuses for quite some time. As you may know, ballot question 4 passed with a majority of voters voting to legalize marijuana for recreational use. And yet, even though marijuana is now legal in Massachusetts, it is still against college policy here at Bridgewater State University, and indeed at all colleges and universities across the United States. Colleges that accept federal money and then disperse that money back to students in the form of loans and grants are expected to comply with federal law. And even though Massachusetts and 8 other states and the District of Columbia have voted to legalize marijuana for personal consumption, again, it remains against college policy here as it relates to the student code. Sexual behavior can also be a challenge for students as they navigate the college years. We encourage you to have conversations, frank conversations with your students about sexual behavior and your expectations. They will certainly make their own decisions, but we want to make sure that they remain grounded in the values and traditions that you've taught them as well. In terms of your role as parents, we want to encourage you to help us encourage students with positive outcomes. Communication with family members can be restricted as we go into the college years. Most students will be at least 18 years old. That provides some challenges. As students are now legal adults, federal law prevents us from communicating with family members, which can sometimes be frustrating. As students are now legal adults, their educational records become their responsibility to maintain and manage. And so even though many family members will be paying the tuition bill or room and board, access to the information as it relates to grades, personal and student conduct, and other records can be a challenge. As it relates to community standards, when there's a violation of the alcohol policies or drug policies, we're actually permitted, and we do under state law, send letters home to family members indicating that there's been a violation of the alcohol or other drug policies. Along with that, we send a release form called a FERPA release form, that's the Federal Educational Right to Privacy Act release form, to encourage you to have a conversation with your student and potentially give us the ability to talk with you about those issues that have happened, again, to help get them on a correct path of expectations and persistence towards graduation. Research tells us that students who work up to 25 hours a week are academically more successful and are more likely to graduate on time within 4 years than those peers that don't. So we encourage students to work and contribute something, even a little bit financially, toward their education. It could simply be helping to pay for books, a portion of room and board, or the parking fee in their later years of college. But we encourage students to continue to work off campus or on campus in work-study roles or other positions, as there are positive outcomes attached to that. In the first 6 weeks of college, we also want to encourage you to listen and ask questions. Is your student forming friendships with peers, with roommates, people in class? Are they involved in clubs and organizations? If not, you may want to encourage them to do so because, again, the likelihood of graduating on time and having higher academic performance is tied to student involvement. Students should also be looking for, and you should be listening for, mentoring relationships. Are they connecting with somebody? Is it a faculty member? Is it a staff member? Is it a residence life staff member? It might be an advisor. But those mentoring relationships can also lead, and statistically are proven through research, to produce better academic and graduation outcomes. As it relates to our office, some actions that we take in terms of sanctioning and referrals help support these positive student outcomes. In meeting with a student, even about an alcohol or drug violation, we're going to be listening for academic performance. We're going to be asking questions. How are you doing in class? Are you connecting with the resources that you need to be successful? And in doing so, we assign certain sanctions to help support student growth and academic learning. A good example of that is academic coaching. If a student is identifying to us as a hearing officer that they're not doing well in class and they could use a little extra support, we will often make, as a condition of the hearing, a referral to the Academic Achievement Center or to their advisor to meet with him or her to get additional support during office hours or otherwise. We also help support student learning in the area of financial planning. Everyone, including me, could use a little bit more help with financial planning. And we do actually invest in a program called SALT. It's a nationally recognized nationwide program that helps students learn key skills from Money 101 to budgeting and managing the expenses related to educational pursuits. When students step outside the norms of our community's expectations, we also assign community restitution projects or service works to help repair the harm that's done to the community. A good example of that is if there's a noise violation in a residence hall, a student may be assigned some work to contribute back to that community that they live in and either help support a program that a resident assistant is putting on in the residence halls or potentially do other service work around campus. As a result of hearings, students are sometimes also assigned reflection papers, research projects. As it relates to alcohol and other drugs, we also assign students to educational programs related to alcohol. Basics is one. It's a brief alcohol screening and intervention for college students. It's a nationally recognized program that involves members of the BSU community from all walks of life, from the director of athletics to members of the faculty, in helping students consider their choices relating to alcohol. Marijuana 101 is an online program that we utilize to help, again, in a similar way to Basics, help support positive outcomes related to drug use. We also partner with a local agency here in southeastern Massachusetts to provide outside assessments for counseling for anger, alcohol, and drugs. An additional option that we have in our tool belt is to assign students a loss of certain privileges. And so an example of this would include a guest who is staying over with your student in their residence hall at night, and that guest does something that is, again, outside of expectations. Perhaps that student would lose certain guest privileges for a period of time. You as family members can also make referrals to our office at any time. Students can do this as well, but it's important for you to be aware that if information is shared that you would like someone at BSU to know about, you can refer that information to us. And there are multiple options to do so. First, you're welcome to call us at any time at 508-531-6177. Alternately, you can email us at communitystandards@bridgew.edu. More often, however, folks will report information to us using our online form, which is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That information can be found simply by Googling the words Bridgewater State University Report Forms or BSU Report Forms, or following the link on the screen. We want to be able to help support you and your student. We encourage you to contact us at any time. We're located in DiNardo Hall in room 133, off in the corner near Residence Life. You can also contact us by email or phone at any time. We look forward to working with you and wish you well in the rest of your orientation.